Welcome to Sober Talk. I'm Dennis and I'm an alcoholic. Sober today thanks to Alcoholics Anonymous. If you or anyone you know is struggling with alcohol, please call Alcoholics Anonymous on 1300 222222 or visit their website at aa.org.au. I'll just run through the preamble of Alcoholics Anonymous. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of people who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problems and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for a membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. It is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization or institution. It does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses or opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics achieve sobriety.
Yeah, Jenny Alcoholic. I wasn't nervous until Peter just mic'd me up, and now I am, because I feel like I'm doing a performance. Right. Yeah, I didn't prep anything because my faith has never been the issue. I do have a strong faith, so I'll get the awkward part out of the room. I am a religious woman. But my problem was recognizing that I couldn't handle booze the way that I thought I could handle booze. And I justified it in every single way possible. You know, like, I loved the shit. I did. Absolutely loved it. I love Johnny Walker and I loved Hans more than I loved my husband. I don't even think I loved my husband. And any excuse to go out with those two blokes, I'm out. You know, I'm gone. You know, like the ramifications were very clear from the beginning, because I am a child that grew up in this program. You could say this program was my church. My mum was Al-Anon for about 42 years. My dad was an atheist, also the alcoholic, and we weren't allowed to go to church because my mum believed in God. My mum's a Greek woman. He's German, English, bit of Scottish. I don't know, lots on that side, right? And just a very angry man in general. So we weren't allowed to learn Greek in case we talked about him. Very paranoid and all this sort of stuff. So there was a lot of you're a kid, be seen, not heard, growing up kind of stuff, you know, like I was very fearful of my old man, but it made it easier for me to believe in God because he didn't believe in God. And I know that sounds weird because as a little girl, I think I'd be idolizing my dad, but I didn't. I didn't even like my dad, you know. I understand my dad, I just don't like him, right? And the reasons for that is because he left the family. He chose to drink. And that was the heartbreaking thing. Mum had found Al-Anon. He knew about AA and he still didn't want to see he had a problem with alcohol. So, yeah, the mum and 4 kids were left. So we're left with a lot of dysfunctionality and learning about life without father's brain and whatever he might know. And he was handy with the power tools and building cabinets and all that sort of stuff that my brother definitely could have learned and I could have done with a few skills too, you know. So when it came to drinking, it was easy. It was something that was just in me. I was so naturally built for it. I thought, wow, I'm excellent at this sort of stuff, you know. This is I don't even have to think about this, you know, like it's not rocket science, you know, like and it offered me all the comfort I could possibly would have needed, would have desired, would have hoped for, stuff that, you know, a loving father could have given me, but it didn't happen that way. So I'm like, yeah, cool. Got all those little warm, fuzzy feelings inside every time you had that first mouthful, you know, like, yeah, there was absolutely nothing I didn't like about booze. Like, I loved it all. I wanted it all, you know, like, I wasn't fussy on my drinks. I had my party drinks. I had my pub drinks. You know, I had drinks for different occasions and all that sort of stuff. Champagne at the races, you know, like, you know, trying to be a lady. I didn't think that went down well. But yeah, to me, although I had mum in the fellowship and I listened to AA people growing up, I had them, they were on our back porch. I heard trying to sleep at night, I'm hearing all the AA guys and girls in recovery, you know, the steps going around, you know, like people saying the steps. I'm being dragged to meetings left, right, and centre. Alateen. I needed to explore it all for myself and figure it out all for myself. Yeah, just it was a magic world for me. It was what I thought was God's kingdom. You know, like I went, it's okay because I'm a good girl. I don't do drugs. You know, I don't even like smoking. But man, I love that booze. You know, like, and with the booze comes the dope and the cigarettes and everything else after, you know, like, but again, justifying everything, you know, like, I was just brilliant at that. I don't spend money on my nails, growing, you know, getting fancy haircuts and all that sort of stuff. I'll spend it on booze, you know, like my kids are well dressed, you know, all of that stuff, you know, refrigerator's full, you know, like house is clean, you know, so I'm going out, you know, like, and yeah, just I mentally and emotionally abandoned my children, even though I physically didn't leave them, you know, like, and that's the simple fact of coming through and working this program myself, is that I come to realize that I was not the crash hot woman, wife, mother that I thought I was, you know, like, I was still faithful and all that sort of stuff. Cause like I said, I wasn't interested. I was in love with Johnny, you know, like none of that stuff I was interested in. I just wanted to get off my face, dance the night away. And yeah, if I could wake up tomorrow morning, I didn't give a shit if I did or not. Like, it's fine. I've lived my life hard, gone hard, go hard or go home. You know, like I had all those attitude, you know, like, you know, I was go out with a bang, you know, like, you know, like, yeah, I'll tell you all now, I'm 46 years old. Right. I had my first drunken episode at 14 at the Ice Arena and threw up all over this fella's lap, you know, just made an absolute humiliation of myself. But it, you know, and I'm still thinking I'm top shit. I'm going out there to do it again, you know, like, yeah, it's just no real recollection to what it means to behave as a human being. No recollection to think about others, you know, like I'm just, this is all I'm doing for myself, you know, that whole pour me another drink, you know. My mentality stayed like that for probably 10 years. Yeah, about 10 years. And then I had an experience where I went to Ireland for a month and I had somebody else controlling my funds, somebody else controlling my my means to get around, my ability, like just everything. And I found myself in a state of desperation over in Ireland. And just I found this little locket, and in this side this little locket it had a mini Bible, like so mini that on the front of the locket was a little magnifying glass. And you use that little bit magnifying glass to supposedly look at that, but nah, that ain't even gonna happen when you got beer goggles, right? You just can't see anything. But I knew what it was, and that was enough to just hold on to, and I hold on to it for dear life. That little trinket, just that faith just kicked in, and I'm still drinking, and I'm drinking, and I'm drinking, and some really bad stuff happened to me there, which I won't go into detail. But soon as I got home, eventually, and the way I got home was lucky. I had purchased a return flight, so as long as I didn't miss that flight, I could get back. But I couldn't get to the airport or anything like that. And again, this man had passed away, and the girl that I was with was going through all of this stuff. And she came across some money, and I said, I want, like, it was in euros, and I said, I want 20 of that. And I basically ripped it out of her hands. I didn't let her control me anymore. I ripped it out of her hands and I grabbed that 20 and I got my taxi to the airport and I got on my flight, and I got home and yeah, she had changed all of her flights. She stayed there and everything, and it was atrocious. I was so frightened in Ireland that and I know it's a beautiful place. It was just in my drinking. I was so frightened and so afraid, and because of the things that happened to me, I got back and I went, I'm going to do something about my drinking. I know it's my drinking. A girl shouldn't be in the position that she's in. I know that. And the first thought is AA, because I know AA exists. It's a solution. I've got all this education now. I'm blessed. I've been given all this information before. That it's no secret that this place exists and that people were getting recovery because I was growing up with them and they were all getting recovery on my back doorstep. like, so I went, oh, it's not for talking myself out of it. It's not for me. Obviously they weren't all good people that I met, so I start telling myself there's not all good people there. There's some really, crappy, bad people everywhere, and so, yeah, just still trying to find those excuses not to come to AA. Still trying to find the excuses because I know it's about abstinence. I know it's about stopping drinking. I know it's not about controlling your drinking or drinking less. I know it's about not drinking, and then living a different life. And I'm like, oh, do I really want that? Do I really want that? Oh, no, not ready yet. So, yeah, I did try Kilburn, which is now my home group, for my first meeting at 25. And, yeah, it was just another bad experience, I got told I was too young to be an alcoholic, which is a cliche thing that's been said to people in these rooms, right? I'm just one of those cliche moments where I knew the lady didn't know what she was talking about, all right? But I still went, it's my ticket. It's my golden ticket. I'm out of here, because I'm not really want it. I don't really want it. I don't really want to get sober. I still want to drink, So, yeah, I went back out for a while. And then second meeting, probably we're talking now another 12, 13 years later, I tried to do it on my own, that's just probably another talk in itself. Those 13 years trying to do it on your own and finding other means and other ways and all that sort of stuff. Before I went, oh, g'day, another crack. So it's starting to surrender the white flag. It's sort of halfway up, and yeah, I went to Henley Beach and I saw Darwin Paul there, who I knew from Darwin as a kid. So it was nice to see a familiar face. I called him Uncle Paul when I was a kid. Sometimes it slips out still. Yeah. But it wasn't enough to not pull me into the atmosphere again where I could see the Ramsgate across the road where my dad used to drink and where I used to go to the Sandbar and then go to the Ramsgate and, see live bands and, and I went, oh, I still want to be part of that life, I still want, that self-will, oh, I want. And then, yeah, I ended up going out and drinking after that meeting. And, yeah, I have something in me that's always wanted to be a bit of a cowgirl. So talking desperately to my husband that, let's move to the country, and that conversation went on for a little while, but he wasn't willing to. I ended up leaving him again, probably about third or fourth time. And eventually he sold the house and we got this property out at Murray Bridge. And the country air out there, mate, did I feel the presence of my Lord Jesus Christ? I felt him like when I was little. And I went, this is strong, this is powerful. And because our property was on a block, the gusts of wind that used to come up, it was enough to take this little girl to lift the clouds, into the clouds. And everything in my world at that moment I saw was grey. I didn't see things in color. I was so out of it in my head that my vision, my perception on everything was just grey and ugly. Like my misery was just 1,000-fold. I just felt this presence of the Lord, and it was just like I wanted to fly. And my head, I want to fly to AA. What the heck? I wouldn't think that not in a million years.
Yeah.
And sure enough, the meeting there was at the Salvos, and I went down there, and I entered a room with about 4 old men, and I went, "You sure, Lord? You sure, Lord, you want me to be here? You know how I am with men, right?" And I want you to learn from these men, Jen. Oh, that's even worse. Still having an argument with my Father in heaven, You sure this is what you want from me? Trying to do God's will. Yeah. So I'm like, "Ugh, damn it. Just be obedient, girl. Be obedient." So hard. Us alcoholics are undisciplined, oh, okay. I'll hear what they have to say. Oh my God. They just fought between themselves. They're all battling to try and teach me their idea of what's right, what's wrong, blah, blah, blah. I'm going, the only thing I'm learning here is that they're a bunch of dickheads. I can't. I am so confused with everything that's going on with the program and the banner because of all of this stuff that's going on with the people in the room. And I'm like, how am I supposed to learn the program for myself? I need to learn the program for myself. And in about 6 months sobriety, I went down the hill back to Adelaide. I walked in a meeting and I met this beautiful lady with a lot of grace, Deb, her name is, and I asked her to be my sponsor, and she did. And she took me straight through the big book. And as I'm reading this stuff with her and getting enlightened and all, my world's coming to color. It's coming, my life's becoming easier, comprehensive wise. I'm comprehending things a bit better. My reading's picking up. My comprehension's getting faster. My intake, my ability to learn is becoming better. Just everything starts to improve. And in my own self, in my own well-being, it's all starting to improve. My life's falling worse around me because in sobriety, I get divorced. He takes my kids, so I lose my kids. I've got to go through court battles, all that monstrous stuff that's going on around me. But I'm getting sober, and I'm going to stay sober on this journey, which is what my heart had desired for so long in those 13 years that I was trying to do it on my own, that I went, why did I wait for so long for AA? Why? Because I'm a stubborn woman. I'm an absolutely stubborn woman and working it out as I'm doing my character defects, and I'm like, now you got to put the whip away, Jen. You can't. There's nothing you can do about that. You can't rewind the clock, But man, when I see these young ones come in, I'm like, yes, so excited, because I'm not going to tell you you're too young to be an alcoholic, because you know you. You know you, and if you don't know you, I want you to stick around until you at least know you. It has been a miracle that for me to be here, because I'm such a person who highly wants to be independent, highly wants to do things on my own. I still call myself a lone wolf, but there's no way, and I know this through the inner being of my soul, that I could do this on my own. I've tried, and I'm not prepared to go down that path in my future. I'm becoming more embracive to having others around me, whether you're good, bad, or ugly. But I'm going to leave Johnny and Han alone. Good luck to them, but they're just not for me anymore. I have to stay where there is peace and there is serenity. If I'm not around like-minded people, if I'm not around soul searching people, always looking to what's going on, like I can't afford to search for something exterior to fill me up interior. Like I know that I'm a spiritual being. That's why I'm put on this earth to, like I am a spiritual being. I'm not just all flesh and bone. What you see on the outside, there's stuff in the inside too. So I've got to be really contingent on that spiritual condition, but I've got to be practical and I've got to work my program. I'd read this bit every morning that Anne read out from On Awakening. Read that every morning. Every night I do my inventory, or a gratitude list, sometimes both, but yeah, I like reading the daily reflections. Stephen's picked this just for today for me to help me focus whilst I was doing this share, and I'll read it out. Just for today, I will try to strengthen my mind. I will study. I will learn something useful. I will not be a mental loafer. What a great term is that, right? A mental loafer. I will do something that requires effort, thought, and concentration. I can't stress how bad my concentration was when I came in. And I'm talking about an educated woman, but I had drank myself under the table that badly. And literally there were times where I was under the table. Like, like on the table, under the table, dancing on the table, whatever, like, and my concentration was shot to hell, like, and I'm some of you might think I'm daft, but I'm not daft, right? But I can have my moments, my bimbo moments, but yeah, I clearly have a good ability to learn, but drinking, I can't learn a thing. I can't learn a thing. You know what? Because I think I know everything already, I think I know how to put this booze away. I think I know that it's good for me. What a load of crap. Disease of lies. Just constantly telling lies, like, no. Everything I thought I know was rubbish. Absolute rubbish. So I had to keep that booze down long enough for my concentration to return so I could learn about this disease, and I could learn about myself, and I could learn about God the way that I want to understand him, or I need to understand him more to the point, like, because everything else just gets twisted and my wires gets crossed in my head, and I don't need to tamper that with anything else, like my conscious contact with God needs to come first. That's for me. That's my personal view.
AA has more than 2 million recovering alcoholics throughout the world. In Australia, there are about 18,000 members. They meet in over 2,000 local meetings spread around the country. Meetings range in size from a handful in some areas to hundreds or more in larger communities. And once again, if anyone you know is struggling with alcohol issues, please call Alcoholics Anonymous in 1300 222222 or visit their website on aa.org.au.